When you think of 80s pop, you think of manufactured bubblegum, stars who were products, not architects. And for decades, that's exactly how history treated Debbie Gibson. Most people remember her as just another rival to Tiffany or a high school hero of the suburban shopping centers, dismissed as just another mall pop princess. But the truth is, while other stars were being told what to sing and wear, Debbie Gibson was fighting record executives to maintain creative control. She wasn't a product, she was the architect of her own sound. To understand her true genius, we have to look past the magazine covers. So, let's open the vault and see the real story. This is the story of how a pioneering musical genius was wrongly overlooked, and how she finally found her vindication. The real story of Debbie Gibson begins not with the bright lights of the shopping center, but with the focused determination of a musical prodigy. She was born ready to create. She had to continually fight record executives to maintain creative control, pushing back against those who just wanted her to be a puppet. This fight for control is what separates her legacy from her peers. Because in 1988, with the release of the massive hit Foolish Beat, Debbie Gibson didn't just sing a chart topper, she created it. At the incredibly young age of 17, Debbie Gibson became the youngest female artist in history to write, produce, and perform her own #1 single. This was a major achievement. This wasn't just a hit, it was a glass ceiling shattered for women in the music industry. She accomplished a feat that even established powerful stars like Madonna hadn't achieved at that age. Her ability to break barriers for women in production should have secured her status as a pioneering musical genius immediately, but somehow, that credit was always overlooked or diminished. The narrative stuck. She was just a teenager who got lucky. But she was, in fact, the architect of her own sound. The fact that she was the writer, producer, and performer meant she possessed a complete understanding of her music, from composition to final mastering. This level of creative integration is often only seen in revered male rock figures, yet Gibson's accomplishment was consistently downplayed by the press. This set the stage for her incredible but often misunderstood journey through the peaks of fame and the valleys of personal struggle. The years 1987 through 1989 were truly the peak of her initial fame. This was the height of the Electric Youth era. She was selling millions of albums. She was everywhere, cementing her status in the pop culture landscape through the radio and even the popularization of specific fashion accessories, such as the hats she wore. But the music landscape is famously ruthless, and pop culture cycles are short. When the 90s hit, the rise of grunge music completely wiped out the infectious optimism of the late 80s pop scene. Debbie, like many of her contemporaries, found herself at a crossroads, forced to pivot her career to survive the sudden cultural shift. She understood that artistic relevance requires evolution, and she was ready to demonstrate that her talent extended far beyond the realm of 3-minute pop singles. She made a significant transition from the pop arena to the theatrical stage. She traded the stadium crowds and the mall tour circuits for the disciplined world of Broadway. This pivot wasn't a retreat. It was a bold step that allowed her to find both refuge and renewed respect for her immense talent. She landed significant roles on Broadway, demonstrating her vocal power and stage presence in shows like Les Miserables and Grease. This phase of her career, often viewed by casual fans as her disappearance, was actually a period of intensive professional growth, proving her versatility as an enduring performer. She took on roles that required serious acting chops and vocal stamina, successfully navigating the demanding schedule and critical eyes of the New York theater scene. This experience further validated her status as a serious artist who could transcend the limitations placed upon her by the initial teen idol label. But even as she found respect on the stage, the biggest battle she would face was not cultural or professional, it was deeply physical. As the 2000s progressed, a silence descended upon her career, not because of a lack of talent or opportunity, but because she faced a brutal, severe, and mysterious illness. This was a severe health crisis that forced her to step back from the spotlight. She was later diagnosed with Lyme disease. This debilitating condition tragically threatened to take her most vital instruments, her singing voice and her very ability to perform. The struggle against Lyme disease marked her true dark night of the soul. This period forced her to overcome immense challenges that went far beyond the typical pressures of aging out of the volatile pop music scene. The intensity of the symptoms meant fighting for basic daily function, let alone the energy required to sustain a demanding career in music or theater. This battle for health fundamentally reshaped her perspective on resilience and performing. She had already proven her toughness by fighting record executives for control at 17. Now, she was fighting a microscopic opponent for control of her own body. She utilized her immense internal strength to navigate the complexities of this disease, finding ways to manage the illness and slowly rebuild her health and her career. But the story of the underdog is always about resurgence and return. The catalyst for Debbie Gibson's victory lap proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the musical prodigy never actually left. In recent years, she has experienced a powerful resurgence, finally receiving the respect she deserved decades earlier. The first major turning point, the contemporary Stranger Things moment for her legacy, was the high-profile mixtape tour. Joining New Kids on the Block, she demonstrated her enduring star power. Playing to massive crowds, sometimes 50,000 people a night, she wasn't just there to fill a slot, she stole the show. This tour was crucial because she reminded the entire audience that she could still sing live with tremendous power and precision. This was a stark contrast to some of her peers, cementing her reputation as an authentic live performer. This resurgence was powerfully solidified by her bold return to the recording studio in 2021. After 2 decades without an original pop album, she released The Body Remembers. At the age of 50, Debbie Gibson proved unequivocally that she could still write hits. This album was a testament to the resilience necessary not only to overcome Lyme disease, but also to successfully navigate the difficulty of aging out of pop music entirely on her own terms. She demonstrated that her genius was timeless and that her ability to connect with an audience was undiminished. Today, Debbie Gibson's significance goes far beyond mere exercise and nostalgia. She represents a powerful lesson in vindication. Her current relevance continues to build. Her upcoming 2025 memoir, titled Eternally Electric, promises to connect her compelling story even further to the current cultural zeitgeist, reinforcing why her narrative matters right now. She spent decades battling a mysterious, debilitating illness and battling the industry's pervasive refusal to see her as anything more than a fleeting teenage trend. But the musical architect who fought so hard to keep creative control back in the 1980s is finally getting the sustained respect she deserves as an accomplished songwriter and producer. Her modern appearances and current vocal prowess show her looking and sounding better than ever, completing her journey of resilience. The contrast between her voice at 16, innocent and teenage, versus her voice now at 54, powerful, seasoned, and mature, is a striking validation of her enduring talent. She wasn't just a pop princess. She was the youngest woman ever to break the production barrier at age 17. Debbie Gibson deserves more than respect today. She deserves enduring recognition as a pioneering musical genius. She proved that a musical genius can survive a ruthless industry and a severe personal crisis to finally receive the vindication she deserved. For those who were there in the late 1980s, we want to know. Most people remember her as just another rival to Tiffany. When it came to the ultimate showdown of the mall pop scene, were you Team Tiffany or were you Team Debbie in 1988? The past is never really gone if we keep telling the stories. But for now, we are closing the vault. I cannot wait to unlock it again for our next story. I will see you soon. This is Story Vaulted.